Okay, everybody, it is me, Gregory Mannarino. It is Wednesday, June 14th, 2023. I'm laughing already. Why is Greg laughing? Well, let's talk about why Greg's laughing. This is my pre-market report, by the way. Anyway, this is why I'm laughing. You and I understand how the mainstream propaganda kind of twists everything into some reality which literally does not exist. So listen to this headline. This is right off of Market Watch. So the headline is Wholesale Inflation Declines in May. Now, if you were to read that or not think about what it actually is saying, you would believe that inflation has come down. Wholesale inflation declines in May. That's the headline. Nothing could be further from the truth. The producer price index, or wholesale inflation, has gone up, although the pace has slowed. So this is what I'm talking about, and it really gets under my skin. These are deceptive tactics used by the propaganda ministry to try to convince people of something that just is not true. Wholesale prices are rising and continue to rise. Wholesale prices have not declined in May. You can't make this stuff up. But this is exactly what you and I have known to be true since, again, time immemorial. It's the deceptions, it's distractions, it's the look here, don't look there. Most people don't read the articles. They just look at a headline and they say, hey, I know everything there is to know because the headline is saying that wholesale inflation came down in May. Duh. But no, it did not come down. As a matter of fact, even if you strip out food and energy, producer prices went up. You can't make it up. You can't possibly make any of this stuff up. This is kind of interesting. Once in a while, you get a little bit of truth out of the freaks, the members of the freak show. Well, one of the supreme members of the freak show is our lovely friend Janet Yellen Stein. Now, this is what she said, and I want to hear your take on this. Are you ready? Janet Yellen, right out of her mouth, expect a slow decline in the US dollar as a reserve currency. I think this is pretty much evident. But to hear this come out of the mouth of one of the things that are part of the freak show is kind of interesting. Now, there is no doubt at all. I did a video about this recently, how nations around the world are sidestepping the dollar with regard to the purchasing of crude oil. They're using China as a conduit, buying Russian oil in Chinese currency. Okay, this is a way to circumvent the dollar here with regard to the petrodollar, and this will lead to war. Speaking of that, so most of you know who Ray Dalio is, multi-billionaire investor. I believe, what's the name of his fund? I can't remember it off the top of my head. But this is what he said. Are you ready for this? Tell me if this is a shock to you. Don't listen to Greg Mannarino. No. Listen to billionaire Ray Dalio here. The United States, is in steep decline. But that's not, we already know that, you and I. Okay, this is what he had to say. The steep decline of the United States is putting the United States on the brink of war. What do? What does our beautiful friend Gerald Celente tell us all the time? When all else fails, they bring you to war. Well, clearly the United States is in a steep decline, as Mr. Dalio is outlining for us here. Again, don't listen to me or you. We already know this. But he's saying that the U.S. is on the brink of war. And obviously this is, there are multiple facets to this. Again, going back to Janet Yellen, with regard to the dollar losing its reserve status, this alone is going to bring us to war. Okay. And again, the decline of the United States, and it's just over. This is not the United States of America anymore. This is the United States of corporate America, and the rest of the world is getting sick of it. You understand? I think you get it. The rest of the world is sick of it. Not only is the Federal Reserve in here deliberately wiping out or erasing small businesses to fulfill the corporate agenda. That's the real reason why they've been raising rates here. And you all know that. Oh, that plays into something else I want to talk about in just a moment. But, they're trying to destroy an entire class of people. And I think the world is sick of it. The United States has become some kind of wicked entity. All we do, what's the greatest export product of the United States? Why don't you tell me? I think all of you know what I'm about to say. It's inflation. The U.S., because the U.S. dollar remains the world reserve currency, is able to export inflation to the rest of the entire world. That's our biggest export product, inflation. And yes, it has come home to roost, obviously, for multiple reasons, which we cover all the time here. Excuse me, my nose is itchy again. Major allergies every freaking morning. Anyway, with regard to that, there's no doubt in my mind that we are clearly, and yours too, I'm sure, marching towards war. And this is gonna, then the rest of the world is sick of the U.S. exporting inflation to them. Now it's coming home to roost. All the things, again, that you and I have spoken about for I don't know how many years, it's happening. It's in our freaking face here. Now, with regard to, listen to this. This was, I can't remember. I didn't write down who this was. But this is interesting. The Federal Reserve this is the headline. Are you ready? You're going to laugh at this one. The Federal Reserve is using the wrong tools to fight inflation. They need to contract the money supply. Oh, what a revelation. You and I have been talking about this since day one, many months. We knew, you and I, okay? We can laugh once in a while at everybody else, okay? While the rest of the world and people were being distracted, told, hey, the Fed's in the fight of their lives. They're raising rates. It's going to control inflation. You and I knew it would never work. You and I have outlined, I think literally before everybody else, how the way to do it would be to contract the money supply. In other words, have the major banks, the institutions, increase the capital reserve requirements. But that can't happen because it would prevent the Federal Reserve from inflating. And what's the number one job of a central bank? How does a central bank keep its power? What's the one reason? Or the one way they do it? Well, that's by inflating. That's the Achilles heel of any central bank. And you and I know that. You want to take down a central bank? You prevent them from issuing $1 single of debt. Again, why do you think during the whole debt ceiling debacle, debate, whatever it was, you had panic? Did you hear the panic in the voice of the now Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen? She was in full-blown panic. As a previous Federal Reserve chairperson, she knew this was a clear and present danger to the Federal Reserve. If, in fact, we would have had a debt default and the Fed was preventing from issuing more debt, the Federal Reserve would have started to die. If we could have kept this going for just a couple of weeks, the Federal Reserve would have been gone. Henceforth, why all the panic from our politicians, especially, and Janet Yellen as well. We must raise the current imbecile sitting behind the Resolute desk. We can't play games with the debt ceiling. We have to raise it. What he wouldn't tell you, the thing sitting behind the Resolute desk at the current time, and it won't matter whoever they put there, although the new president has already been chosen. I think you already know what I'm talking about. Again, the choir had to push fear on the American people here because, again, if we would have defaulted on the debt, the Federal Reserve would have started to die. Even if we would have defaulted for 2 weeks, yes, the economy would have took a major hit. We're going to take a hit anyway, but we would have gotten rid of the Federal Reserve here. But that's not going to be allowed to happen here. So with regard to stories this morning, again, this producer-pricer thing here and these deceptive tactics that are being used. Again, wholesale inflation declines in May. If you heard that and you didn't know any better, wouldn't you think inflation was falling? That's part of the Joe Biden-Stein re-election campaign. He's going to tell people that inflation is declining. Believe me, it's going to come out of his mouth. Meanwhile, inflation is not declining. Even at the wholesale level, it continues to rise. But you're not allowed to know that. It's deceptions. It's it's lies as far as I'm concerned here. Janet Yellen admitting here that the U.S. dollar is losing its status as the reserve currency. Billionaire Ray Dalio talking about the U.S. in a steep decline, putting it on the brink of war. Imagine my shock. The Federal Reserve using the wrong tools to fight inflation. Duh. Yeah, exactly. They're not fighting inflation at all. They're using the right tools, which is to raise bond yields here, and of course, it just doesn't seem to be raising rates. Excuse me here, and it doesn't seem to be helping with regard to inflation. Now, does it? No, because it's never meant to do that. It's meant to wipe out the middle class and destroy small businesses here. But you all knew this already. This is all just lovely stuff that you and I have been talking about since time immemorial. Anyway, with regard to this market, you got stock futures relatively flat. You got cryptocurrencies relatively flat. You got gold and silver catching a slight bid this morning. You got crude oil catching a bid, over $70 a barrel again. You got the 10-year yield dropping slightly this morning, and you got the relative strength of the dollar lower. The MMRI did fall slightly. But look at all this stuff that's going on. Like not a single one of you out here, not one, who follows this blog is surprised about what you're hearing and the way things are going. And you think this is going to change anytime soon? How about no, it isn't going to. So later on, we're going to hear from the Federal Reserve. We're going to hear what's going to come out of its mouth. You know my take on this. There will be no hike today. If there is a hike today, the market's going to take it very badly. The market has baked in no rate hike today. We'll see how it plays out. And we will talk about this later during my live stream, 1:05 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. I know you like that. Some of you out here who correct me all the time. Greg, it's not Pacific Standard Time. It's Daylight Time. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, look, I love you from the heart. I mean that. Please share the video. Please comment on the stuff we talked about here. Those thumbs up, people, I count on you for that. Takes you a nanosecond. Those thumbs up. Again, allow YouTube to show the video. People need to hear this stuff. Wouldn't you agree? All right. I'll see you later, 1:05 p.m. Pacific time. All right. Bye.